that it is you that has allowed us to be here this day. We know and understand it is because of your mercy that we are able to stand before you this day. So we thank the Most High God for all things and for everything. We ask that thou continue to be with our people, Yisrael, wherever we may be scattered throughout the four corners of this earth. We pray, O Most High God, we pray and beg that thou will be with our people even in Houston right now. We pray that you will watch over them, that you will guide them, that you will shield them, that you will protect them, O Lord our God. For we know and understand it is you who sent the rain, O Most High God, and then we know that you can stop it. So we come before you, we ask for your mercy on those people that are there, O Most High God, our people that are there, O Most High. We ask that thou will even continue to heal the sick in the house of Yisrael. Be with all those, O Yehovah God, who are in the hospital beds. Be with those people, O Yehovah God, who are in the jail houses. Be with our people, O Most High God, who are just struggling, O Yehovah God, financially, mentally, physically. We ask that thou will be with all our people, O Yehovah, because, O Yehovah, we have no God save thee, O Yehovah. We have no Savior beside thee, O King, for there is none beside thee. We thank thee, O Most High God, for this place, this house, even to be able to call on your name. But we, oh Yehovah God, we do ask that thou cause us to have a bigger place, a place that we can call on your name, a place that we can call our own, so that we may give praise and thanks to thee, even on a weekly basis and even on our holy days and our new moons. We thank thee, O Most High God, for all things and for everything, praying that thou will even forgive us, O Most High God. We ask that thou forgive us for our sins, the sins that we've done knowingly, as well as the sins that we've done unknowingly. We ask that thou cause our slates to be wiped clean, so that we may even have a new streak, O Most High God, and be a new people, a redeemed people before thee, O Yehovah God, for thou art our rock and our redeemer. We ask that thou, O Yehovah God, hear our prayers, even the prayers that we say even in our hearts, the prayers that we say in our minds, the prayers that don't utter words, O Most High God, but thou knowest our minds, thou knowest our hearts. So we ask that thou will hear our prayers wherever we may be praying, in whatever capacity that we may be praying, that thou will watch over us, continue to guide us and shield us. Be with our children as they go into the schools. Be with us as we go on our jobs, O Yehovah God. Some of us are unhappy with our jobs. We ask that thou will grant us new jobs, O Most High God, that thou will grant us the things that we need as well as the things that we desire, and pray and beg that thou won't see us as ungrateful, and that thou will see us, O Yehovah God, as not taking any of your blessings, any of your mercies for granted, O Most High God. We thank thee, O Yah, for all things and for everything, for thou art our rock, thou art our redeemer, thou art the Holy One, the only one, the Yisrael. I thank thee, O Yah, for my family, and I pray that thou will continue to be with my mothers, that thou will continue to be with all the elders in the house of Yisrael. Be with, O Yehovah God, all those, O Yehovah God, who strive to do right before thee and call on your high, your most holy name. Blessed art thou, O Yehovah our God, who is the King of the universe, who is the former of light and the creator of darkness, the maker of peace and the creator of war, the master of good and the creator of evil. Blessed art thou, O Yehovah our God, who is the King of the universe forever and ever. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen.
Hallelujah. Let us sing of thy wondrous works will tell. The heavens declare it, the glory is thine, the earth and its beauty shows honor divine. Our God, the creator of everything, to thee we lift up our voices and we'll sing of the God of Abraham, Yitzchak's God, the God of Israel. He maketh and calm. Of thy wondrous works we'll tell, and when we do falter, we'll cry unto thee, For lo, when thou hearest, thy mercies will see. Thou sendest thine angel to show us the way. To thee we send out our praises when we pray. Sing of the might of the God of Abraham. Yitzchak's God, the God of Israel. He maketh darkness light, and calm. Of thy wondrous works we'll tell. Sing of the might of the God of Abraham. Yitzchak's God, the God of Israel. He maketh darkness light, and calm. Of thy wondrous works we'll tell. Wadosha, 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 Yahuwah, Wadosha, 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 Yahuwah, Yaeli, Yaeli. Hallelujah, 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 Yahuwah, hallelujah, 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 Yahuwah, Yaeli, Yaeli. Todaya, 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 Yahuwah, Todaya, 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 Yahuwah, Yaeli, Yaeli. Rachumya, 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 Yahuwah, Rachumya, 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 Yahuwah, Yaeli, Yaeli. Badosha, 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 Yahuwah, Hallelujah, 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 Yahuwah, Yaeli, Yaeli. Nake, Nake. Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa, Hayapa, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa, Hayapa, Hayapa Elohim. Yahovah, hallelujah, Yahovah, hallelujah, Yahovah, hallelujah, Todayah, hallelujah, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa, Hayapa, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa, Hayapa, Hayapa Elohim, Todayah, hallelujah, Todayah, hallelujah, Baruch Yah, Yahovah, Yahovah, hallelujah. In the morning, when I wake up, I give thanks to Yah. To you, oh Yah, I will give my praise, 'cause I know that my Yah lives. He lives within me, He lives within you. So what you gonna do? All you have to say is, say what? Yahai, my Yah lives in me. Yahai, Yahai, my Yah lives in me. In the morning, when I wake up, I said, I give thanks to Yah. To you, oh Yah, I will give my praise, 'cause I know that my Yah lives. He lives within me. He lives within you. So what you gonna do? All you have to say is Yakai, Yakai, my Yah lives in me. Yakai, Yakai, my Yah lives in me. Let's do it again. In the morning, when I wake up, no drums, I give thanks to Yah. To you, oh Yah, I will give my praise, 'cause I know that my Yah lives. He lives within me. He lives within you. So what you gonna do? All you have to say is Yahai, Yahai, my Yah lives in me. Say Yahai, Yahai, my Yah lives in me. When Israel was in Egypt's land. Louder than that. I need y'all louder than that. when Israel was in Egypt's land. Oppressed so hard they could not stand. He said, go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. The Lord told Moses what to do. To lead the children of Israel through. He told him, he said, go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land, and tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. When they had reached the other shore, they sang a song of triumph. Yah told him, he said, go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land, and tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. He said, go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land, and tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Et hakolasa yafe beito gam et haolam natan bilibam mibli asher lo yin zaha adam et ha'maase ashera zaha Elohim erosh ve ad sof le olam va'ed merosh ve ad sof le olam va'ed hodu la Yehovah ki tov ki leolam kasi hodu la Yehovah ki tov ki leolam kasi hodu la Yehovah ki tov ki leolam kasi hodu la Yehovah ki tov ki leolam chasido ki leolam chasido ki leolam chasido. En hakolasa yabe beito kamel haolam natan bilibam mibli asher lo yin zahadam et hama asherase asa ha Elohim erosh ve ad sof le olam va'ed merosh ve ad sof le olam va'ed hodu la Yehovah ki tov hodu la Yehovah ki tov hodu ליהוה כי טוב, כי לעולם חסידו, כי לעולם חסידו, כי לעולם חסידו.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You may be seated. Mashallah. Yeah. Okay. Here you go. How y'all feel today? How y'all feel today? Hallelujah. Giving thanks to the Most High God for our lives, for food, clothing, and shelter. We thank him for all the things that we have, and we also thank him for all the things that we don't have. You know, the Most High God blesses us. He protects us. He always allows us to get out of those sticky situations that we always find ourselves in, you know, and he loves us regardless of our actions, our backsliding ways. So we thank him. There's nothing that we can give him. There are no words to describe his greatness. I don't know that many words. I'm not a wordsmith, but all I know is the Most High is good to me. He's been good to me. He's helped me in this way of life, helped me to become a man, get out of situations that I found myself in, and I thank him for that. And I thank the Most High God for your lives and for the things that you've been through that made you the people that you are today. So we thank him for all the things that we have. Hallelujah. At this time, I'm going to bring up the teacher of the afternoon, and I pray that the Most High God will guide his words and be with him and continue to heal him, continue to comfort him. And we have to remember to pray for our family when they go through times of trouble. And I pray that you give him your undivided attention and that you get something from our history. As I bring to you our Moreh, Yeftahk, Ben Dahn, Ben Yisrael, Baruch haba. Kumo.
You may be seated. Continuous praise to the Most High God, King of heaven and earth. Your host of old is his name. Even the God of our forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yisrael. I bid you all in the tongue of our forefathers, Shabbat Shalom Lakem. So how y'all feeling? Y'all ready for this history? Amen. Okay. Because this is the part of the book that I like. It shows us real life situations. It shows us how people make mistakes, how people don't know what to do, how people find themselves in situations and might not necessarily know how to respond. And so as we pick up in the first book of Samuel in the 26th chapter, we're going to see how young King David, who is the king but isn't exactly on the throne, is going to understand that this leadership thing isn't all glory. He's going to understand about leadership that there's people who like you and people who don't like you. And there's going to be people who don't like you for absolutely no reason. And you don't have to be in a leadership position for that to happen. Now, isn't that right?
That's right.
All of us probably at some point in our lives have run into somebody that it's like, why doesn't this person like me? Because I've done absolutely nothing to that person. And that's how it is for them. And guess what? It's okay. That's life. That's going to happen. However, for King David, there's a greater scenario happening here. Because in his ascension to the throne, the man who's sitting on the throne has now become envious of him. The man who's sitting on the throne hates him, even though King David did absolutely nothing bad to him, but it only has tried to do him good. But what David has to understand is that God does things in his way, in his manner. And he ascends people and he removes people according to his way. And blessed be his name. And so as we stop and when we look at why Saul doesn't like David, it's nothing more than the fact that he's being removed from the throne.
Basically.
And it wasn't because of David, because he didn't know David when he messed up. Talking about Saul. Saul didn't know David when he messed up. Saul messed up, in case we don't remember the history, when he was instructed to kill the Amalekites.
What?
1 Samuel chapter 15. He was told, listen, kill them all. And he didn't do that, did he? He went and he saved the chiefest of the things that he wanted, of the sheep and of the women, and then he tried to blame it on the people of why he didn't do it. And the prophet Samuel told him, he said, because of what you did, the Most High God has taken the kingdom away from you. Okay, that's bad. So he should have left it at that. The kingdom was taken away, but listen, you didn't really expect to be king forever, did you? Well, obviously in his mind, he did. So when that happens, now he starts becoming envious of the person who's his replacement. Instead of grooming his replacement, instead of making sure that his family was good through his replacement, he chose to become envious and destroy his replacement as if he can alter the plans of God. Because let's say for a second, hypothetically, and we all know the history, or we should know the history to a degree. Let's say he was able to kill David. What did he think that was going to happen after that? When God says, it is. When it goes out of his mouth, that's what's going to happen. But he couldn't see that because the plan was of God, because God put what? An evil spirit upon Saul.
That's what happened.
And we don't like to acknowledge that. We don't like to acknowledge the fact that maybe some of the things I'm doing, God is sending me in a certain direction because he doesn't like me anymore. Maybe God has me feeling like this because I need to humble myself, and I'm not realizing that I need to humble myself. And so sometimes we walk around with feelings in our heart, envy, jealousy, some of the first feelings that we've seen since the beginning of the world, starting with Cain and Abel, that we had to stop and say to ourselves, why do I feel like this? And if it's of God, instead of me walking in that feeling, maybe I need to turn to God and pray to him and ask him to take this feeling off of me. Saul never did that. All Saul could think about is how he wanted to destroy David and preserve his kingdom. The kingdom is no man's. The kingdom is God's. God is the one ruling this show. God is the one who sets men up and takes them down. No matter how great you speak, it's of God. No matter how many people like you, it's of God. No matter how much knowledge you gain, it's of God. And no matter what you do to try to stop people from their ascension, all you have to know is that when you're doing things to try to take people down, that's wicked and that's not of God. Saul couldn't understand this, and he was in his own feeling. And so now as we pick up the history, we're going to see that there's going to be some people that were already encountering David and Saul, the Ziphites. They were allies of Saul. Clearly they didn't like David, because earlier on in the history we see that they was telling where David was the first time. But here we're going to see some finality to the matter. And I should make you aware, today we're going to talk about a little bit about death. And regardless of what I'm going through in my personal life, because when the brother made the schedule, he did not know what was going to happen happened. You may be introduced to a little bit new information. You may be told what you were doing is wrong and what you thought was wrong is not wrong. And I'm going to tell you this. None of us have total understanding of death. None of us understand the mental aspect of what we go through when a person is going through death, because it's not something you can prepare for. David had to understand, and he was going through personal feelings of the fact that the anointed of the Most High God wanted to kill him, and at the same time that he didn't want this man to die. Now, any other person, he would have just killed. Nabal, he was ready to kill him. No questions asked. They had to talk David down. His now wife, Abigail, had to talk him down. But the anointed of the Most High, when you have somebody who you did nothing but good for, and you know that God initially wanted, how do you stop and resolve in your heart that this person now needs to die? And David has killed at this point hundreds of Philistines, thousands of Philistines. We remember the song, Saul kills the thousands and David his 10,000s. So it wasn't about life or death. It's about when somebody's close to you, somebody personal to you, that you want to see your good, your own people. And you got to stop and resolve in your heart and say, this person needs to be gone, but I don't want this person to be gone. And these things are going to happen to us in our lives. We're going to build and we're going to grow. But without God, we can't gain clarity on this situation. But we'll begin.
We're in the first book of Shemuel, 26th chapter. 26th chapter, first verse. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And the Ziphites came unto Shaul to Gibeah, saying, doth not David hide himself in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Yeshimon? Then Shaul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Yisrael with him, to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph.
Now I want y'all to understand about these Ziphites. The last time when Saul took 3,000 men to go and look for him, they went and they told him what was going on, and Saul couldn't get him. They was chasing him all around the mountain, but what's happening here is Saul is getting bad advice. We're at war with the Philistines. We're at war with the Amalekites. And there's also a civil war going on here of sorts where he's looking to slay David. And David is not fighting back. He's just running. But because he's so preoccupied with what David is doing, he can't understand that there's a bigger battle going on outside. Does this sound familiar? The man cannot see the bigger picture. He can't break things down in a simplistic mode of like, hey, listen, this man, I tried to kill him multiple times already, and I can't seem to do it. And there's 2 other countries trying to kill us. Let me leave him alone and let me focus on the real enemy. He can't see that. He's just like, oh, I'm going to go back down into that wilderness and I'm going to kill him. Not realizing that God is in the matter. It reads,
And Shaul pitched in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Yeshimon, by the way. But David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Shaul came after him into the wilderness. And David therefore sent out spies and understood that Shaul was come of a certainty. And David arose and came to the place where Shaul had pitched. And David beheld the place where Shaul lay, and Abner, the son of Ner, the captain of his host. And Shaul lay within the barricade, and the people pitched around about him.
Joseph.
Then answered David to Abimelech the Hittite and to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, brother to Joab, saying, who will go down with me to Saul to the camp? And Abishai said, I will go down with thee.
Is history repeating itself? I'm telling you, David had mixed feelings in his heart. If we remember from before, he cornered Saul in the cave. Right. Saul came into the cave to relieve himself. And he sat down and, David could have killed him then. And he didn't kill him.
And he smote his thigh when he did that, because what ended up happening was he took the hem of his skirt and ripped it away from him, and to show that he could have killed him. And when he thought about it, he said, I shouldn't have did that. So now here we go, fast forward to now. He's sitting down and he sees what's going on. He sees they're in the valley. He knows the man wants to kill him, and he's asking, who's going to go down with me? And my question is, to do what? What are you going to do? You get down there, you see Saul, you see his men, and now what, David? His men were loyal to him, but somebody needed to stop him from what he was doing. Now, God was in the matter. But what I'm saying is, if you're not going down there to kill him, and you know he's trying to kill you, what is your purpose of going to constantly going down there to be in his presence? For what? Well, me personally, I can only presume in my mind what he was thinking. That one of these times, he was hoping that one of these times, once Saul would see him and see that he means him no harm, that he would finally say, okay, listen, it's fine, it's over. We're not going to do this anymore. But I'm going to tell you this. When you have friends, when you have family, when you have people that you think you need, remember this. If they mean you no good, they mean you no good. Just stay away. You don't have to make them your enemy.
Right.
You don't have to stop and say, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, because this person said this about me, now I'm going to do this. Just stay away. It's all right. You know why? Because God is in the matter. God will handle the situation. But when you try to force situations, right, when you try to make people like each other that don't like each other, there's nothing, rarely have I seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about adults. Rarely do you see that the situation turns out well. The only thing that ends up happening is somebody's forced to do something. Why? Because people who don't understand the situation, including yourself, are trying to force something to happen that's not going to happen. David knew why he was being anointed king. David knew that God took away the kingdom from King Saul, and understanding that, he should have stopped and waited for the signs from God. But instead, he chose this way. And my teacher, my mentor, Moreh Mishael ben Yisrael, always states to me, never test God. You don't go up to a lion with his mouth open, stick your arm in and say, the lion won't bite me because God is with me. It don't work out like that. You sit down and you move with wisdom. You move with understanding. The way our forefather Jacob moved with wisdom and with understanding. He didn't make Laban his enemy. He understood how to work around his problem. He didn't make his brother Esau his enemy. He understood how to work around his problem. The same way for us in these days and times in the land of our captivity. Learn to work around our problems. But David made his choice. 2 of them are going down amongst 3,000 men to do David's will.
Verse 7. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Shaul laying asleep within the barricade, with his spear stuck in the ground at his head. And Abner and the people lay round about him. And then Abishai said to David, God has delivered up thine enemy into thy hand this day.
Again, I know it don't say that, but it's like, again, here we are. This is the second time. This must be the sign from God, David. Finish him off. It reads,
now therefore let me smite him. I pray thee with the spear to the earth at one stroke, and I will not smite him the second time.
Yeah, he's telling me, you know, Saul, his weapon of choice is his spear. He threw a spear at his son when he thought that he was trying to usurp what he was trying to get done. And now his spear is next to his head, and he's telling him, I'm going to take his spear and put it through his head one time, and we can get out of here. And it reads,
and David said to Abishai, destroy him not.
Fool, so why are we here? I'm sorry to cut you off, bro. But why are we here? Destroy him not. We came down here. He's there. Clearly everybody's asleep. I mean, if you could walk up to somebody while they sleep and they're not realizing you there, you got the jump on them.
The army.
The whole army surrounded him. Everybody's passed out. And here's David. Destroy him not. David is about to say some sound wisdom. My only thing is, how come you wasn't thinking all of this while we was back on the other side? It reads,
for who can put forth his hand against Yahweh's anointed and be guiltless?
He's right.
And David said, as Yahweh liveth, nay, but Yahweh shall smite him. Or his day shall come to die, or he shall go down in battle and be swept away.
I want y'all to understand what's happening here. David is speaking into existence what's about to happen. He's speaking into existence. He's saying, it's not going to be me. I can't touch Yahweh's anointed. That's God's job to take him away. If God chose him, then let God take care of him. Far be it from me, because I don't want that guilt on me, and I don't want to say that I gave you the command that will bring that guilt on me. The wisdom of a young king to stop and understand patience, to stop and understand, let God take his course. It's not our time, it's God's time. And so while he's sitting there and all of this stuff is going away, listen, he got the people, the tools at his disposal, people that are willing to die for him and do what they need to do. But no matter what, no matter his feeling, no matter how many times Saul tried to kill him, he didn't forget God.
Right.
Do we do that while we're angry? Can we sit down and say somebody's trying to kill me and say, no, but you know what? That's my brother. I'm not going to hurt him. I'm not going to hurt her. I'm telling you, I'll take a page out of his book, because there's oftentimes when we get angry, and it could be a friend, it could be a spouse, it could just be another Israelite. And we stop and we tear each other down for reasons that we don't understand why. David seen the bigger picture here, and he understood that Saul was rejected, but he understood that it wasn't his position to kill him. It reads,
verse 11. Yahweh forbid me that I should put forth my hand against Yahweh's anointed. But now take, I pray thee, the spear that is at his head and the cruse of water, and let us go. So David took the spear and the cruse of water from Shaul's head, and they got them away. And no man saw it, nor knew it. Neither did they awake, for they were all asleep, because sleep from Yahweh was falling upon them.
Right. God was in the matter. God blessed him. God knew when he went down there that he wasn't going to kill Saul, but God knew that he needed to intervene. Don't test God, but God knew that he needed to intervene, because God had already made a promise, and David had already been anointed, and he had to be the king. So David was making decisions that he didn't even know was well beyond him. But God was fighting for him. Why? Because God was with him. Because the fact of the matter is, David should have been dead a long time ago if God wasn't with him. He was busy running through wildernesses and to other countries and to other lands, trying to find out what's going on here. He really should have been dead when Saul sent his men to kill him while he was with his wife, Michal, that Saul just recently took away. He should have been trapped, but God was with him. And now God allowed this deep sleep to fall upon him so that he can be with David, and that hopefully, which he knows he won't, Saul will see the signs. But it goes on to read.
Then David went over to the other side, and stood atop of the mountain afar off, a great space being between them. And David cried unto the people and to Abner the son of Ner, saying, Answerest thou not, Abner? Then Abner answered and said, Who art thou that criest unto the king?
Now he's bold now. First you running, all the men are down there, and now you calling out to the captain of the host, Abner. And Abner was indeed a general. He was a fierce warrior. And he sit down, he said, Answerest thou not, Abner? The men were sleeping. They came awake, and now David is trying to show what he did. It reads,
And David said to Abner, Art not thou a valiant man?
Facetious statement.
And who is like thee unto all in all Yisrael?
Facetious statement.
Therefore then hast thou not kept watch over thy lord the king. But there came one of the people in to destroy the king thy lord. This thing is not good that thou hast done. Wow. As Jehovah liveth, ye deserve to die, because ye have not kept watch over your Lord, Jehovah's anointed. And now, see where the king's spear is?
In my hand.
And the cruse of water that was at his head.
I got it. I'm holding it. He's showing him up. You're the captain of the host, but remember me. I'm the one they were singing about, Abner. I'm the one who God said will be the king. And you, not for nothing, you should be dead because you couldn't even protect the king. What are you there for?
Because he's sleeping.
He's sitting there showing Abner, and he's also showing Saul. Hey, listen, I could have killed you, but I didn't. I walked all the way up to you and took your spear and your cruse of water, but I mean you no harm. It goes on to read.
And Shaul knew David's voice and said, Is this the voice of my son David? And David said, It is my voice, my lord, O king. And he said, Wherefore doth my lord pursue after his servant? For what have I done? Or what evil is in my hand?
I told you he's trying to proclaim his innocence. Why are we doing this? I'm minding my business. You're the king. I don't want anything to have to do with you. Saul was preoccupied with David, but David was preoccupied with God.
Right.
I want us to understand this here. I understand we can't get along. I understand you don't like me. But why are you trying to kill me here, Saul? This doesn't make any sense. You know I could have killed you, but I'm not trying to kill you. You know that I served you as a youth. You know that you gave me your daughter as a wife. You know I did her nothing but good. What is this about? Now, therefore, I pray thee, let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. Read the verse.
Now, therefore, I pray thee, let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. If it be Jehovah that have stirred thee up against me,
right,
let him accept an offering.
I told you that David knows what's going on here. He said, this is God that's allowing you to do this. That's right. This is God that got you feeling this type of way against me. And if it's so, bring up an offering. What type of offering? A guilt offering. Admit to yourself that it's the things that you have done in your life that have got you feeling this type of way, and that you don't want to be around people, that you don't like me, that nobody can do anything right. You even get mad at your son and you want to kill him. And maybe you need to bring your offering to God instead of trying to put this on me. We don't like to think about it like that. We don't like to think that God got us feeling some type of way.
Right.
We stop and we point at the other person. Oh no, it's not them, it's you. It's when you did X, Y, and Z. This is the only reason why I did it. Let me tell y'all something about sorry. Sorry is not always because you know you were wrong, you need to apologize. Sometimes it's okay to say sorry because you don't want the person feeling a certain type of way about you. Despite what's going on. I know you may not like the way I go about doing things, but if sorry makes this situation better, I'm sorry. Because I don't do these things to make you upset. A lot of times I like to think that we haven't grown to that level because we have so much pride in us. We're like, sorry. The only reason why I'm saying sorry is if I know I'm wrong. Not because you told me I'm wrong, but because I know I'm wrong. And I'm going to apologize on my time. Never thinking of the bigger picture. Never thinking about peace for the sake of peace. Let's just move forward and let's do what we got to do because of the greater good, because we got a God to serve. We don't like to think about that. We stop and we say, oh, if somebody had to say sorry, that's because they knew they were wrong and they better not forget for the rest of their life. But here we have scriptural proof, evidence that stops and sees that David was well in his right and he continued to humble himself before the man who wanted to kill him. Is that who we are? And if that's not who we are, why are we not that? Seeing that David was the beloved of the Most High God. It reads,
but if it be the children of men, cursed be they before Yahweh.
Right.
They have driven me out this day that I should not cleave unto the inheritance of Yahweh, saying,
go serve other gods, the Ziphites. That's who he's talking about, the Ziphites. If the Ziphites have got you all excited about me, if the Ziphites are the one who's like, yo, go down there and kill them, cursed be them. Because they're trying to get me to go to another country and serve other gods where they know we don't serve the Most High God here. Cursed be them. It goes on to read.
Now therefore, let not my blood fall to the earth away from the presence of Yahweh. For the king of Yisrael has come out to seek a single flea.
A single flea.
As when one dove hunt a
partridge in the mountains. Yeah. He's sitting down. He's like, who am I? You're the king. You see how humble David is? He's referring to himself as a single flea. He's referring to himself as a partridge. What does it say? Elephants don't swat at flies. If you really are who you say you are, why are you coming after me when I'm not trying to kill you? It goes on to read.
Then said Shaul, I have sinned.
Right.
Return, my son David, for I will no more do thee harm, because my life was precious in thine eyes this day. Behold, I have played the fool and erred exceedingly.
Moment of clarity. It reads,
and David answered and said, behold, the king's spear. Let one of the young men come over and fetch it, and Yahweh will render to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness. For as much as Yahweh delivered thee this day into my hand today, and I would not put forth my hand against Yahweh's anointed.
Tosif.
And behold, as thy life was much set this day in mine eyes, so let my life be much set in thine eyes and in the eyes of Yahweh, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation.
The man was the man for the job. I'm telling y'all, there's nobody like David. He's sitting there and saying to him, and he's still pleading with him. After Saul stopped and said he sinned, he didn't stop and go, you better believe you sinned. He didn't stop and go, that's right, and stepped off. And I got his spear. He stopped and he said, the same way that your life was precious in my eyes, allow my life to be precious in your eyes. I don't want no more problems. I just want to move on. What did he say here? He said about the righteousness. And behold, as thy life was much set by this day in my eyes, so let my life be much set and be set by in the eyes of Yahweh, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation. That was a little bit early. Oh, I'm sorry, 23. And Yahweh render to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness. Saul is literally digging a grave for himself. Don't forget, he had Doeg the Edomite, killed 85 of the priests. We read that earlier. Because they went and they fed David and his men when Saul was looking for them. Saul is trying to kill the anointed of the Most High. You know, this thing goes twofold. They're both anointed. Right. If David wouldn't do it, why would you try to do it? But that's what's happening here. So he stopped and he's saying, he said, Yahweh render to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness. David has much righteousness to stand on. Saul, not so much. It reads,
Then Shaul said unto David, Blessed be thou, my son David. Thou shalt both do mightily and shalt surely prevail.
Spoke it into existence.
So David,
go ahead.
So David went his way, and Shaul returned to his place.
I want y'all to understand this. They're both speaking things into existence. Blessed be thou, my son David. Thou shalt both do mightily and shalt surely prevail. Well, if you're trying to kill him, what are you saying about yourself? Exactly. But he can't see it because he's still preoccupied in the matters coming from God. It reads,
chapter 27, verse 1, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And David said in his heart, I shall now be swept away one day by the hand of Shaul.
Right.
There is nothing better for me that I should escape into the land of the Philistines, and Shaul will despair of me to seek me anymore in all the borders of Yisrael. So shall I escape out of his hand.
Right, because we're at war with the Philistines. So if you're really going to kill me now, you're going to have to kill all the Philistines and then come get me. And not for nothing, Saul wasn't particularly encouraged by the Philistines. David was the one who went out and killed the Philistines for Saul. Saul didn't do it. Saul was afraid of the Philistines back when Goliath was out there. Now, he wasn't the only one afraid of the Philistines, but it wasn't until David came along and killed Goliath. So now, for David, it's now finally sinking into him like, listen, I can't keep running through the mountains like this, because every time I show I can kill him, he apologizes. Then he comes back again and he tries to kill me. Then he apologizes. I can't keep tempting God like this. It's time for me to go. It goes on to read.
And David arose and passed over, he and the 600 men that were with him, unto Achish, the son of Manoah, king of Gath. And David dwelt with Achish at Gath, he and his men, every man with his household, even David with his 2 wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the Carmelitess, Nabal's wife.
So see.
And it was told Shaul that David was fled to Gath, and he sought no more again for him.
Right. Now for the Philistines, you would think, why are they letting David in there? But they know that Saul is trying to kill David. So now they believe that David is jumping onto their side. Which actually makes sense, because if the guy who's the general who's killing all of us is now on our side, now we can go and take over Israel, and we could set him up as a puppet king, and then all the Israelites will be under our rule. Happens more times in history than you'd actually believe. So right now, they're like, oh, you want to run from Saul? No problem. And Saul don't want no problems with the Philistines. He's like, all right, he's down there with the Philistines. Okay, fine. I should be good, hoping that the Philistines would eventually kill him. But it reads,
and David said unto Achish, if now I have found favor in thine eyes, let them give me a place in one of the cities in the country, that I may dwell there. For why should thy servant dwell in a royal city with thee? Then Achish gave him Ziklag that day. Wherefore Ziklag belongeth unto the kings of Yehuda unto this day.
So see.
And the number of the days that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was a full year and 4 months.
So he stood over there for a year and 4 months. You know, usually as time passes like that, people think, okay, I'm good. I'm good to go. He's hanging out with the Philistines and things of that nature. But David, in the back of his mind, has to realize, eventually I got to go back. God anointed me as king. And he's hoping that as time goes on, that God is going to deal with Saul so that he can walk back into the country. It goes on and reads.
And David and his men went up and made a raid on the Geshurites and the Gizrites and the Amalekites.
The Amalekites that Saul was supposed to kill. It reads,
for those were the inhabitants of the land who were of old, as thou goest unto shore, even unto the land of Egypt.
Right.
And David smote the land and left neither man nor woman alive, and took away the sheep and the oxen and the asses and the camels and the cattle. And he returned and came to Achish.
Because he still had a heart for his people. He still was a warrior. He also knew that these people were still enemies of the Most High God. Yeah, I'm living in a foreign country. Yeah, I'm someplace that God has sent me to, and I don't know why. But I still recognize that an enemy is still an enemy. That never left his heart.
Amen.
And understanding that, he still did what he had to do. He said he smote the land, left neither man nor woman alive. Isn't that what Saul was supposed to do?
Yes, sir.
He was the one that was supposed to do it. Here David goes doing the will of God. And it reads,
and Achish said, whither have ye made a raid today? And David said, against the south of Yehudah, and against the south of the Jeremites, and against the south of the Kenites.
He was lying.
And
let's get this out the way right now. He was lying to them, and it was okay.
He expanded the truth.
Because what ended up happening was he stopped and he knew that if he told this man the truth, he was going to die. It goes on to read.
And David left neither man nor woman alive to bring them to Gath, saying, lest they should tell on us, saying, so did David, and so have been this manner all the while that he dwelt in the country of the Philistines.
Right.
And Achish believed David, saying, he have made his people Yisrael utterly to abhor him, therefore he shall be my servant forever.
I told you what he had in his mind. What he had in his mind is like, listen, now that he went and did this to Judah and who was it? The Yerachmaelites and against the south of the Kenites. It was like, well, if he did all that, he can't go back home. Yep, he's going to be my servant. I got a warrior amongst me, and he's going to help me achieve my goal. And meanwhile, though, David understood what was going on in the back of his mind, not revealing his plan to the Philistines. It reads,
chapter 28, verse 1, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their hosts together for warfare to fight with Yisrael.
Right.
And Achish said unto David, know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me in the host, thou and thy men. And David said unto Achish, therefore thou shalt know what thy servant will do. And Achish said to David, therefore will I make thee keeper of my head forever.
Now, the story's about to change, but I want y'all to understand this. Saul is hearing what's going on. This is going to be a major problem. The man who used to kill people for me is now fighting with the Philistines.
Right.
Here come the Philistines again to fight, and I don't necessarily want to fight them. And so now the man who I used to rely on to find out if I should go to battle or not is dead. He's been dead for years. A major problem for people is that when you rely on only one person for advice, when you can't trust anybody except your one person, when that person goes, you're in trouble. Now I'm going to tell y'all this about advice. Sometimes advice is good, sometimes advice is bad. It happens. And if you don't accept the fact that when somebody's giving you advice that it may work or it may not work, you're going to have issues. In life, you have to trust somebody. You cannot stay stuck on the fact that if people don't do how you do, they're not trustworthy.
Amen.
That's not right. And it's not fair to people. It's not fair to people, and it's not fair to you, because there's certain things that you hold yourself back from that when you stop and you say, well, if I allow this person this much leeway, this is what they're going to do that's wrong. Saul was a person who he didn't trust many people. He understood Samuel because Samuel was the one who came to him when Samuel didn't know him and guided him when he was a young king.
Right.
But guess what? As you become an elder, if you are wise, and if you are interested in becoming wise, you will learn to trust people who prove themselves around you. And if you're a young adult, you will learn to begin to assess character and learn to trust those people who are considered trustworthy and get people out of your circle who are not trustworthy. Learn how to choose friends. Learn how to choose family. Learn how to choose people you serve God with. We don't like to have that conversation. We don't like to stop and say to ourselves, who's good for me and who's bad for me. I just know who I like hanging out with. That's what I know. I like hanging out with this person. We don't just talk about the Knicks. We talk about the 90s Knicks. That's worth talking about. Not these new Knicks.
Not these.
This person, all they do is make me upset about what we talk about, and then the next thing you know, they don't even want to serve God with me. What is this person's purpose with you? I often say, if you can't pray together, my goodness, what y'all doing?
Amen.
Just imagine somebody coming to you and be like, there you go praying again. I'm telling you because I lived it.
Oh, wow.
Imagine somebody coming saying to you, just because I don't pray as much as you pray, that doesn't make me less of a person. And you didn't tell them, because you don't pray, that makes you less of a person. You said, now you'd be like, well, where did that statement come from? I didn't tell you anything like that. But people watch you, they see how you move, they see the things that you're into. And so what I'm telling us is, in order for us to build and grow, we have to have some commonalities. It just doesn't work any other way. And if you don't think you need commonalities, life will eventually show you. If you find yourself constantly pushing a person away or talking about a person or making sure that person feels upset, what are y'all exactly doing there? What are y'all trying to achieve, and what are you trying to achieve? What is the basis of this relationship, this friendship, this interaction? Why are you doing what you're doing? The same thing with David and Saul. Saul could no longer exist with David, and David could no longer exist with Saul. It wasn't going to work. And so now for Saul, he believes in his mind that David is coming to fight him, to end it all. He believes in his mind that the Philistines are going to prevail. He's worried about his kingdom being taken away from him, even though God already told him his kingdom was going to be taken away from him. So as we get into this next part of the history, I want us to understand this. And I said it earlier. There's sometimes where you could do things and you can make a bad situation worse. You know what? I shouldn't have drove that car that wasn't mine, and I crashed it, and now it was an $80,000 vehicle, and it's now worth $52,500 left on the vehicle, and I'm on the hook for it. And I got to come up with $8,000 to start to pay this off, or else I'm going to jail. You know what? I'm going to rob somebody. Don't think that jail doesn't make people start thinking about doing things that they wouldn't obviously otherwise do. You know what? I'm going to stick up a bank. I'm not going to get away with that. Matter of fact, I know these 3 elderly people that are part of a susu. And the person who owes the susu money always takes the money over there on this day. I'm going to stick up the susu person.
Yeah, you fell low.
Your mind is going so far, over $8,000, that you can't stop and think about the bigger picture. Death is there. It'll happen. Life will happen. What are they going to do? Kill you? If you got to go to jail, you should have thought about your actions before you made them. That's why things are going a certain way. But if you stick up the Susu person, what if that person has a gun? What if you get caught and that person starts to fight back and then you kill that person? Now what? I'm telling you, if you watch the news in Israel, please watch the news. Please stay aware of current events. People do crazy things. And it's people that look normal that you stop and you say, I would have never thought. That person does not strike me as. And it's because of what's going on in their life. And the only thing that I'm going to say here is now, for Saul, he's about to just hit rock bottom. You sit down, you be like, you know, what you're about to do, would Samuel tell you to do? Would he advise you to do that? Because Samuel's gone. He's not coming out the grave. He's not going to be able to advise you. But before I get ahead of myself, let's get into the history. Verse 3.
Now Shmuel was dead, and all Yisrael had lamented him and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Shaul had put away those that divine by ghosts or by a familiar spirit out of the land.
What is dead? Dead is when life is over. Dead is dead. Dead is finality. Dead is here on this earth, this person is not coming back. We don't like to think about it, but it's an eventuality of life.
Amen.
And Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him and buried him in Ramah, in his own city. It was what it was. Here we're going to see Saul thinking back as he's seeing his own demise approaching, as he's worried about his own death, that now he's preoccupying himself with the dead. I'm here to tell you this day, Israel, that you cannot preoccupy yourself with the dead. There is no such thing as reincarnation. There's no such thing as a second life, third life. You growing wings and going to heaven. You growing horns and a tail and going down to hell. God has given us a life to live, and he has not revealed to us what happens after we die. We don't know. We can speculate, but we just don't know.
Amen.
But life is for the living. And make the most of your time while you're here, because it won't be forever. Make the most of your time while you're putting life into perspective, because we don't know when we're gonna go. One person may live 150 years and another person may live 5. We just don't know. But if you don't praise God in that time, he can shorten your time. And if you think that you're going to keep doing wickedly and God is not going to make you answer for it, you're fooling yourself. We can't get around what God wants to do. The only thing we can do is move along with the plan of God. It reads,
and the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Shaul gathered all Yisrael together, and they pitched in Gilboa.
Right.
And when Shaul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid. And his heart trembled greatly.
Right. I told y'all he was scared of these guys. It's something about the Philistines that he was just like, listen, I can't beat them without relying on God, without praying to God, without turning to God, without bringing the offering, as David just told him earlier, a year before, a year and 4 months before. David had told, just listen, bring your offering to God, turn to God, ask God, see what God will do. I'm telling y'all, Cohen Levy said it all the time. May the Most High bless his memory. Try God. Just try him. See what he'll do for you. It goes on to read.
And when Shaul inquired of Yahweh, Yahweh answered him not. Neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophet.
Right, you were rejected. You know what the deal is here. You understood that God turned away from you. All right, so he's not answering you by prophet. He's not answering you by the priest who has the Urim and the Tumim. And he's not speaking to you. Saul at one point was prophesying, right? Okay. This is how this whole thing set off. So you know that God is not with you. But don't make God your enemy.
That's right.
That's even worse. It reads,
Then said Shaul unto his servants, seek me a woman that divineth by ghosts, that I may go in unto her, inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that divineth by ghosts in Endor.
All right, now I want y'all to understand this. God had already commanded us not to deal with familiar spirits, right, not to deal with divination, not to call on the dead.
Sure, so we'll put them out.
When you stop and you say, seek me a woman that divines by a ghost, for what? Now, listen, people were already doing wickedness in the land. So it's not like it was hard to find somebody who understood to divine by a ghost. But the fact that they knew where to go and who to find speaks volumes.
Exactly where to go.
Said, yep, there's a woman that divines by a ghost at Endor. That's where he wants to go. Now he wants to call on the dead, all the while forgetting about God. Did y'all read in here where it said, and he prayed to God, and he called upon God?
Yes, sir.
He sat, he talked, he tried to get God, but you stop and you be like, yo, bro, you did all of that and that didn't work. You think the dead is going to get you there?
Right.
If God didn't want to answer you, and God is the one who commands life and death, what do you think that the ghost is going to do for you? But I'm telling you, there's a way when your mind starts churning, when you start thinking about all types of crazy things and you stay to your own thoughts without asking advice of others of how to go about doing things, valuable advice, good advice. You start doing stuff like this. And it reads.
Absolutely.
And Shaul disguised himself.
He did what?
He disguised himself.
Okay, so he understood he was doing something wrong. It reads.
And put on other raiment. And he went, he and two men with him. And they came to the woman by night.
Right.
And he said, divine unto me, I pray thee, by a ghost, and bring me up whomsoever I will name unto thee.
Right.
And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Shaul have done.
Right.
How he have cut off those that divine by ghost or familiar spirit out of the land. Wherefore then thou layest a snare for my life to cause me to die.
I want y'all to understand this. He's going against his own edict. He's stopping, and the people of the land understand what he's about, and he don't understand what he's supposed to be about. How in the world is it that who used to be into divination and familiar spirits understands that they shouldn't do it no more because the king has ordered that nobody do it anymore unless they die, and here you go out seeking them? It's the backward lives we live. And they sitting there and she's telling them, she's like, look, not me. Why? Because she think they trying to set her up.
It's entrapment.
Sit down, he'd be like, behold, thou knowest what Saul has done. He cut off those that divine by a ghost. But Saul has his own plan in mind. It reads.
And Shaul swore to her by Yehovah, saying,
whoa, wait. We cannot jump by that. I'm telling you how much worse it gets. How are you going to swear to somebody by the Most High God that they won't kill you for doing an evil thing? I know I didn't let him get it out, but I had to get to that part so y'all that resonate with you. As Yehovah lives, how can you do that? How can you commit adultery and swear to somebody that God won't kill them in the name of God?
Right.
That's how backwards that is. He doesn't even realize what he's doing anymore. The man totally lost his mind. But it reads,
as Yahweh liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing.
Right. As if he can speak for God. Go ahead.
Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Shmuel.
Right. Now, I want us to understand this about bringing up. Current day, we would call this like a seance. These are one of those things when you see people calling on the ancestors. When you stop and you like, oh, you see it in witchcraft. You see it in mysticism and things of that nature where they talk about spirits transferring from one body to another. We see it in movies that we watch. Skeleton Key being one of them. People who pride themselves on being magicians, wizards, sorcery, and things of that nature. God never told us that this stuff doesn't work. He told us don't deal with it. That's the difference between the two. He didn't stop and say, this is what's going on down there, or this is what's going on up here, or there's a universe that you can't behold, and this is what's happening over there. He didn't say that. He said, don't do it. I designated that for the nations, not for you, O Yisrael. So to sit down and say, oh, you know, Israelites say, oh, don't deal with ghosts, but I've seen ghosts before. Ghosts are real. Listen, I'm telling you right now, you can't even control your own mind. You have a nightmare and don't understand why that's happening. I'm telling you, I just lost a brother, and in the days of him passing, I must have seen more people that resembled him than I ever seen in my life. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at people, I'm like, I never thought anybody looked like him.
They don't.
And now I'm sitting there like, why do I keep seeing him?
Amen.
You don't know when your mind's playing tricks on you. And if you don't have God with you, you don't have enough to stop and say to yourself, listen, take a minute. Take in the fact that you're not actually processing everything that's happening, right, and your mind is trying to understand what's going on.
Right. Amen. So
I had to stop and say to myself, this is going to take time. You weren't about crying. You weren't about being strong for others. I'm trying to process the fact that he's gone and why things are happening around me that I've never seen happen before. That's God sitting down showing me everything that you think you know, you don't know.
Amen.
It's okay. It's all right. And you know what? The reason why this is probably happening is because you're trying to understand why he's gone at the time that he's gone. But guess what? He's not coming back. So your mind is actually rationalizing the fact that he's not coming back. And the fact that you want to see him again is probably why you're seeing him in other people. And that's okay. That's all right. You're not losing your mind. Your mind is taking time to adjust for a position that you've never been in your life.
Amen. Makes sense.
And it's quite all right. But if I stop and I say, oh, you know what? I want to go visit the grave. And if I stop and I say, oh, listen, this is what I need to do. Maybe I just want to talk to him one more time. I'm not trying to be a quote unquote Debbie Downer, but I seen him on that table. I seen that toe tag by his head. I stopped and I looked at him purposely to make sure I can internalize he's not coming back. And so, yeah, I took the time to cry because guess what? It happens. That's right. I stayed strong for a while, but finally I broke down. And I'm telling y'all this, in the finality of death, it's all right because he was blessed in his life. Saul had the opportunity to have memories to fall back on of what Shemuel would have told him to do and followed the righteousness that God required of him as a king. But he didn't do that. He had the opportunity to understand that he messed up with God and look back to Moses and remember when Moses struck the rock twice and stopped and said, even though God told Moses that he would die, Moses kept doing his job. he didn't go and start doing other things like this. Saul had the opportunity. And I'm telling you that no matter what's going on in your life, don't turn your back on God. I'm telling you that no matter how bad things look, how far in despair you may be, how many people may leave your life and your existence, and how great you thought they were to you, nothing is greater than God.
Amen.
Not one more conversation, not one more day of life.
Amen.
The same way God brought that person in your life and he brought you joy, God can bring another person in your life and bring you joy. But you have to believe. And if you don't, then you start doing things like this. I don't believe in talking to dead people. I just don't. I'm not going to a grave to speak to a headstone.
That's right.
It's not going to work for me. I don't talk to the dead, I talk to the living. If I need therapy, I want somebody who I can talk to who can relate to what I'm talking about. People who are going to make me feel better. Listen, things will be better. Things will be okay. You'll get through this. And trust me when I tell you, I've seen people break down far more than I ever thought I could be in. There's some people who it takes them years to get over things. But guess what? When you think you're going to die, all types of things start running in your head. Don't think that your mind can't play tricks on you. Don't think that when you're thinking something crazy, you shouldn't stop and say to yourself, hey, listen, that's crazy. Don't think that you shouldn't stop and say, you know, when I thought about doing X, Y, and Z, maybe I need to talk to somebody about why I'm thinking about this type of thing. We have a nightmare, we can't understand it. We have a crazy dream and we can't understand it. We could be sitting down in our classrooms at work and something will just pop in our head and we won't understand where it came from. Not knowing that it came from God. And so here we have Saul who's sitting down. He's like, I'm going to call, I need this witch, this person who deals with divination, to bring up Samuel because he's going to answer my question. Because Samuel, I know that God favors him. Not sitting down and even thinking, listen, the same way you're worried about dying, God called Samuel to die. If God was so great with Samuel and you thought that these things can happen, how come God didn't let Samuel live forever? Because death is an eventuality of us all. But it goes on to read.
Verse 12. And when the woman saw Shemuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Shaul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Shaul. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what seest thou? And the woman said unto Shaul, I see a godlike being coming up out of the earth.
A godlike being. In the Hebrew, they use the word Elohim. She's referring to a godly man. She's referring to somebody who acknowledges the Most High God. We see scriptural evidence of this. So that when we use this word Elohim, and I'm not going to go all the way there right now, but when we see this word Elohim, and we see that it's translated as godly, as somebody being about God, they reference it to the Most High God and to man. But when they use it in reference to man, they're using it in reference to the Most High God. Does that make sense?
Yes.
She seen Samuel. And she stopped and she's like, you're lying to me. You're the king. And he's like, don't be afraid. Just tell me what you see. He doesn't care about the fact that now this woman's eyes have been enlightened to the fact that now she knows who he is.
Right.
She didn't know 2 seconds ago. Now, when Samuel came up out the ground, and we draw our inferences from there. Oh, well, that must be where souls and spirits go. It doesn't mean that. That means when she did what she wasn't supposed to be doing, this is what God allowed for her to see.
Right.
That does not mean when we die, spirits go down into the ground. She was already doing something wicked. And God was revealing things to Saul the way he wanted it to be revealed. It goes on to read.
And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up.
Right.
And he is covered with a robe. And Shaul perceived that it was Samuel. And he bowed his face to the ground and
prostrated himself. Yeah, because he's like, okay, this is the point I've been waiting for. Now I'm going to get the answer that I want. Now I can finally understand what's going on because Samuel's back. Right?
Right.
Wrong.
Oh, wrong.
It's like, right? Question mark, ... Wrong. You can't get past God.
Amen.
There ain't no way around this, brother. You sit down and she's seeing an elderly man. She said it was what came up was godly. What came up was godlike. He was covered in a robe. He was an elderly man. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. He's like, all right, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Now I get to ask the questions that I want to ask, and now I get the answers that I want. Well, remember Eli.
Right.
Hophni and Pinchas, Eli, in the beginning of this book. He wanted an answer from Samuel when he was a young man. Eli instructed Samuel to tell him what God revealed to him that night.
Yes, he did.
And when Samuel told him, he told him at that time, you're going to die. And now here we go with Saul. I want y'all to think about this God that we serve. It reads,
and Shemuel said unto Shaul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up?
Right.
And Shaul answered, I am sore distressed.
Right.
For the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known to me what
I shall do. Well, listen, if the prophets that's alive ain't answering you, what's a dead prophet gonna do for you? Think about it. I mean, you like, listen. Like, at some point, are you going to make some sense here? Or is this just all about you?
Right.
I sit down and I say all the time, you'd be like, look, you know, kids do crazy things. You sit down, you'd be like, you wasn't supposed to be in the refrigerator. You had the whole bag of cookies in your hand. So what do? You can't close the refrigerator soon enough, so you put them in the oven. Right? Happens. You go away, you forgot you put them in the oven, you didn't get in trouble. Until the next person comes behind you, turns on the oven without looking in the oven, which happens. Next thing you know, everybody's like, yo, what's burning? I smell plastic burning. I smell something sweet like cookies burning. What's in that oven? Who left the cookies in the oven? Everybody's sitting there looking like, and you know it was you. Instead of just owning up to what you had, and now the place almost caught on fire. Well, that's a simplistic example, and kids will be kids. But here, you're so distressed. Well, if you're going to say the prophets aren't answering you and I'm a prophet, what do you think what do you think a dead prophet is going to do for you as opposed to a live prophet? More than likely, Saul thought that people just didn't want to deal with him in a certain way. More than likely. But regardless of what exactly was going on here, he wanted an answer, right? God was giving him an answer in the manner that he wanted it.
Right.
And I want us to understand that. Sometimes we do things and we don't know whether we should or shouldn't be doing it. And God answers us in the way that we will comprehend. Not the way others comprehend. So if I get it one way, my brother Mesharet Arania may get it another way. My brother Samal Zarkar bin Dahn may get it another way. It doesn't work all the same for us. But whatever you need to get for it to click, God will give it to you. That's right. If he wants you to understand. So, I talked to y'all about Eli. Eli didn't correct his sons. Right. Nobody could make him understand that he needed to remove his sons from office. So God revealed it to him through the prophet Samuel, through a dream, not directly to Eli, but through the prophet Samuel, through his dream. And the prophet Samuel told him. Right. He didn't want to remove his sons, so God removed his sons. And then here we go, and him. Here we go with Saul. Saul wanted an answer. He wanted the answer by the prophet Samuel. By the prophet Samuel. He's going to give him an answer by the prophet Samuel. If that's who you need to answer you for you to understand exactly what I mean, then I'm going to allow you to be answered by Samuel. It reads.
And Shemuel said, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing Jehovah is departed from thee and is become thine adversary?
Right.
And Jehovah have wrought for himself as he spoke by me, and Jehovah have rent the kingdom out of thy hand and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. Because thou didst not hearken to the voice of Jehovah, and didst not execute his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore has Jehovah done this thing unto thee this day.
Pause. But he knew that. Samuel's repeating himself from years earlier with the Amalekites. 1 Samuel chapter 15. Exactly. He told them the kingdom is run away from you and has been given to somebody better than you.
Better. Amen.
And so you sit down and you're like, I don't know what you expect to happen here, because what I said in the beginning is what it is in the end.
Amen.
When you turn your back on God, you make God an adversary. So you can sit down and say, oh, those brothers are telling people not to do this, and those brothers are making people feel like that. Read the book for yourself and make a determination. You don't want me to be your teacher? That's fine. You don't want him to be your teacher? That's fine. You don't want him to be your priest? That's fine. But open the book and read it and do the law for what's written in there. Because when you start doing things on your own, I don't know what you expect to happen here. You know that he gave the kingdom to David, so you want to hear me say it again? I'll say it again. David's gonna be king. All that time you spent trying to kill him, that's why you couldn't kill him, because he's going to become king.
Wasting time.
That's right. It reads,
moreover, Jehovah will deliver Yisrael also with thee into the hands of the Philistines.
Right.
And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me.
Go ahead.
Jehovah will deliver the host of Yisrael also in the hand of the Philistines.
So y'all understand what's going on here? You wanted to hear it? You're afraid of the Philistines? You're right. You should be afraid, because you're going to die. Sit down. You like, God will bring your fears upon you. That's what he said in the book of Proverbs. The very thing that you're afraid of, God will bring upon you, because you didn't have trust in God. He said, you worried about this? You like to call upon the dead? Okay, no problem, because tomorrow you and your sons are going to be with me. Eli and his sons, Saul and his sons.
Amen.
So if you were scared, if you thought you were scared before, now know for sure, I named the date for you. God let him hear it the way that he needed to hear it, and prophecy was happening at the same time. Don't tell me my God isn't real.
Amen.
He can prophesy through life. He can have men prophesy through life as well as through death. My God will give it to you however you like it. Whatever makes your mind comprehend that he's not playing games with us. Deuteronomy 28 is coming up. And we need to stop and understand that what God had for his people, what he had planned for his people, he will effectuate. Either we'll serve him in happiness or we'll serve our captors in rigor.
Amen.
You're afraid of the Philistines? You think they're going to kill you? Then fine, let them kill you. But you will serve me. It reads,
then Shaul fell straightway his full length upon the earth and was sore afraid,
right,
because of the words of Shemuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night.
Right.
And the woman came unto Shaul and saw that he was sore affrighted, and said unto him, behold, thy handmaid hath hearkened unto thy voice, and I have put my life in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy words which thou spokest unto me.
Right.
Now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thy handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee and eat, that thou mayest have strength, but thou goest when thou goest on thy way.
Right. She's trying to console him now, because The man, he's about to die, and he doesn't want to eat. Who can eat knowing that they're about to die? What is this meal going to really do for me? He just told me tomorrow I'm going to be dead, me and my sons. Right. And you know the things that start going through your head. I'm going to die. How am I going to die? Will I see it coming? You start putting yourself on edge. You start thinking, well, will it be a lightning bolt? Will I get run over by a chariot? Is it going to be a spear? You know what? I'm not going to go out to the war. Then what's going to happen? Well, if I don't go out there, then they don't have my leadership. Then that may be the reason why the Philistines will come and get me. Will they torment me before I die? Will I have a heart attack? What exactly will happen? You don't know. She's trying to console him, but at this point, King Saul, cannot be consoled. It reads,
but he refused,
obviously,
and said, I will not eat. But his servants together with the woman urged him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth and sat upon the bed. And a woman had a fatted calf in the house, and she made haste and killed it, and she took flour and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it before Shaul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up and went away that night. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I want y'all to understand this now. The history, if we look at our history, it's exciting. If we look at our history, we should learn from our mistakes. This was a man who stopped and he had the world before him. He could have been a king of other kings. The King of Kings is the Most High God, but he could have been the King of Kings on this earth.
One and done.
And he blew it.
One and done.
And so what I want us to understand is that let's not blow our blessing. Let's not be a people who stop and think we can be better than God or go beyond what God has put aside for us. Let's walk in the light of this Torah. Let's be the people who God created us to be a light unto the nations, and to teach people how to serve him and give honor and praise to his name always. Hoping and praying that y'all got something out of what I said, and that the Most High God found these words acceptable to be spoken before his people, as I bid you all in the tongue of our forefathers.
Annabelle. Sure. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Giving thanks to the Most High God for the life of our brother Moreh, Yeftahk, Dahn. Excellent portion.
Amen.
Excellent. He broke down things and made it very clear.
Amen.
And that shows his diligence when he's studying. And the Most High has given him understanding of this law and the teachings. So thank you, Moreh. That was a beautiful job. I can't wait to watch it again. And at this time, it's just about time, right?
No.
Question and answer.
Yes.
Hey, for Benjamin. As I bring to you Rabbi Chief Benjamin, and we'll do a short question and answer period for anyone who has any questions. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. You may be seated. Giving all praise and honor to Yehovah, our God, the King of the universe. Thank you for our lives. Thank you for strength and good health, and the opportunity to call upon in His name on this day, and praying that He would teach us. And at this time, if anybody has any questions, we'll do what we can to answer them, and praying to the Most High God for the understanding as we give forth the answers.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So a brother asked me this week, is it okay to visit a grave after a loved one has died?
There's many ways to, and I'm basing it off part of the answer based on what you just said. Mm-hmm. You know, of course, you know, a situation like that, and because the world that we live in is a touchy subject. But then the answer would be why. And I know the answer in people's minds is based on the world that we live in. That's common practice. But when we come into the understanding of this way of life, the answer would be why would be visit the grave. Because even though the body of the person is there, there's nothing that we can do there for that person. We can't communicate with the person there, just as we can't communicate with the person at our own homes. So visiting the grave is not gonna do anything. So the main answer will first be why, and just explaining why would you want to do that, because there's nothing that could be done there. That's just a location where, because bodies have to be buried, and that was part of this morning's teaching as well. Bodies have to be buried, and we know from the beginning in Genesis, God said once death became into the earth, that thus you are, thus you become. So that's why bodies are buried. But there's no reason to visit the grave. So that would be the answer. Any other questions?
Sticking to the subject, with the whole thing with the witch of Endor and stuff like that. So is it? Well, I already know the answer, but I know people who like to play these games like Ouija boards and stuff like that. Explaining how that's not good for us.
Okay. And that would have.
They think it's a game, but it's
right. No, with a Ouija board, playing with a Ouija board is not a game. So you probably think about another game that they might be playing, because the Ouija board literally is not a game. They do that as a form of divination, or to get answers.
Selling in stores is games.
Right. So I can connect on a few portions. Deuteronomy 13, which we read. Start with that one. Start verse 2. If there arise in the midst of thee a prophet or dream of dreams, and he give thee a sign or a wonder, and a sign or wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them, thou shalt not hearken to the words of that prophet or unto the dream of dreams, for your God put you to proof to know whether you do love Jehovah your God with all your heart and with all your soul. And that's speaking about prophets or any form of divination, or trying to get an answer of anything other than directly from God. That leads into talking about that God said he's gonna send prophets, just like Moses, which leads into another thing, because when Moses says that God will send a prophet like me, he's basically talking about sending a system of prophets who will talk to the people just like Moses spoke to the people. Then going to 18. When thou art come into the land which chapter 18, verse 9 in Deuteronomy. When thou art come to the land which Jehovah thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn after the abominations of those nations. There should not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, one that uses divination, a soothsayer, or an enchanter, or a sorcerer, or a charmer, or one that consulteth a ghost or a familiar spirit, or a necromancer. For whosoever doeth these things is an abomination unto Jehovah. And because of these abominations, Jehovah thy God is driving them out from before thee. Thou shalt be wholehearted with Jehovah thy God. So that part covers everything. The other part was just speaking about trying to get answers to questions other than the source of prophet that connects directly with God. And then this is going into any form. It covers everything. Not having, you don't have to go into the Hebrew to break it down, but it gives you different categories of divination, contact the spirits, because they're all different methods. So whether you talk about the Ouija board, a seance, contacting a witch, a sorcerer, necromancy. There are all different forms of horoscopes. All of this stuff is different forms of trying to get an answer of it and then going to God directly.
Okay, so now, is it wrong for us to watch movies like that? Like Skeleton Key, they have a show on, is it HBO? Stranger Things. Like, is it wrong for us to, you know, watch scary movie too? Be entertained by stuff like that.
It depends. It depends on, because some of those stuff I don't know, but I guess it depends on the depths of the actual movie itself. Whether it's something that's done for entertainment value or it's actually promoting that. Which of course there'd be a fine line, but it depends on the context or the concept of the type of show. Because it can go into the depths of.
Have you ever seen Skeleton Key?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
That's one of the freakiest movies ever.
Oh. Because once we get into those discussions, then a lot of people's favorite shows will go out the window, like Walking Dead and things like that. So it depends on what the show is about. Is it just entertainment, or is it just promoting, or is it actually promoting that?
Yeah. Hold on to praise the Most High. Shabbat Shalom and Co.
Shabbat Shalom.
I just want to say, I think, and I'm trying to remember who asked the question, but somebody asked a question like this a week ago or 2 weeks ago, where they was like, "Is it wrong to watch?" Was it you? Like a magic show? And I think that this might just kind of go into that same conversation as well.
Now, magic is different. Magic is somebody doing a trick, an illusion, so to speak. So it is most magicians, and I'm talking about magicians. We see the word magician in the book, but the magician that is talked about in the book is not the magician that we may think about today, which is an illusionist, someone that just doing tricks and just sleight of hand or just something to blind your eyes or whatever. Back then, it was tricks being done to contact spirits, false gods, or things of that such. So you see the word magician in the book as it's translated, but it's not talking about the same type of magician as today. So going to see a magic show, so to speak, is not the same magic that is being spoken about in the book.
Shabbat Shalom. I would have to disagree a little, because there's a movie been out, called The Prestige, and they started off as illusionists, but eventually the guy, he became so obsessed with his craft that he went into sorcery. And the guy who he got to do what he needed to do admitted that it was created by a sorceress. So the only thing that I'm saying is we have to be careful, because some of the things that people are up to, and because we're not involved with it, we wouldn't be any otherwise knowledgeable to how they're going about doing what they're doing. But what I would say is that we have to be careful, because some people go that extra mile. Right. And because they don't show how they do it, I do believe that's that secret arts that we see that they were talking about in Egypt. And we look and as we look into history and see what Egyptians were up to, and we see about pyramids, and we see about mummification and how they had their traditions of transferring souls from one plane to another, that we just have to be careful as we watch these things and see what people are into.
I would agree with that in terms of the type of magic. I'm just saying in general, magic as we know today is not the same magic that we read about in the book. But if certain illusionists, like you're saying, going into divination, or if there are movies that promote divination through magic, then those would be the type of movies or shows that we would have to be careful about.
Okay, so let's say I write movies while I'm an author, right? Would it be wrong if I wrote movies or books about divination and stuff like that? Because if we live in a world where we're, you know, under the laws of God, that stuff wouldn't exist, right? Like movies and stuff like that.
And you sort of you sort of answered it, but then we still have to. There's probably no quick answer to that, because even living in the land, you know, we try to paint the picture of living in the land as pristine and perfect, and you know, there's a lot of things that are prohibited by Torah, but that we entertain with. We entertain by movies that have violence. Now that's a whole different subject, but you know, I'm just focusing like on the violence, things like that, murders, and various things that we're entertained with. So I couldn't say that we would never have a movie in Israel that had no violence. That would, you know. And that it doesn't mean that the movie is promoting violence, but movies are based off events that take, you know, or enhance reality.
But as an author, would I be wrong? Would I be breaking law if I'm writing books or movies about stuff like that?
It's probably no, and I don't want to give a quick answer to that one.
What's your question? Sorry.
Is there, if an author or film writer writes, follows the Torah, writes movies, scripts, or books,
like Harry Potter, like stuff like that. Yeah. That's
right. Would that author or film writer be wrong?
Lord of the Rings type stuff.
Adventure kind of thing.
Fantasy. They call it fantasy.
And you fall into video games,
right?
Of that nature. Table it.
That's what I'm saying. There's no quick answer. There's no quick answer to that one. But I just see with this. Here's Alice's question.
Just like how parents like that kids get influenced by certain games, and kids do not get influenced. It's just the same as how movies that have sorcery basically influence against the law. And movies that have that sort of stuff, at the end of it, as long as you don't do it, what you show what's up there, then it's gonna be fine.
And that's why it's not a quick answer, because of that. What I was just basically saying is that, you know, adults think that children will be influenced by the violence in video games, when they may not be all the time. But usually they are influenced by the violence in the video games. But he's just giving an example that, you know, as a, you know, growing up, he's playing video games. He doesn't necessarily feel that he's going to be influenced by it. So if you watch a movie, it doesn't mean that everything in the movie is going to exactly influence you. So that's why it's not a quick answer to that question. But we would always discuss it and try to give an answer for here and online. And so we just take that as the last comment. So we thank the Most High God for the Sabbath day and the opportunity for us to be here this day, and praying that he will continue to be with us and shield us and protect us, especially in the week to come. I don't know if you got into that subject that you were going to talk about, but in the few weeks to come, there's a lot of laws that we need to get back into discussing more and more. And as time goes along, we'll get back into that. Yeah, that's why I was just saying that. That's why I just mentioned that in the 2 weeks to come, we'll try to get back as I mentioned some of the commandments that, because we know, and those for online, we usually go through the portion through the day, and now we're doing other books in the afternoon. But, you know, there's certain basics that we have to get back into. Sometimes we get caught up because of what's happening in Israel. So sometimes a lot of the lessons are geared to what other Israelites that know are supposed to know what they're doing are doing. But we're going to try to get back into the basics, because we have to focus on teaching people that are coming in stuff that they don't know, instead of worrying about what people that are supposed to know stuff don't do. But we have to get back into the basics.
Blessed be. Thanking the Most High God for this day. Torah Yahah for the Shabbat day and for the conclusion of the day. We hope and pray that everyone online that's still listening, that you've been edified today, and that the Most High God has blessed you with some new understanding and something that could carry you through the week. When it comes to those laws, you know, it's important for us to know them, to carry them out, and to do them. So at this time, I'll ask everyone to please rise as I will say the words that the Most High God gave unto Moshe to give unto Aharon and his sons to bless the children of Yisrael, hoping and praying that on the conclusion of this day, that the Most High God would even grant us all a blessing. Wa daber Yahoah el Moshe lemor, daber el Aharon we el Benah lemor, ko tevarku epene Yisrael amor lahem. And Yahoah spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto Aharon and unto his sons, saying, on this wise he shall bless the children of Yisrael. Ye shall say unto them, Yevareka Yehovah Yishmareka, Yair Yehovah Panawaleka Wikuneka, Yisa Yehovah Panawaleka Yasemleka Shalom. May Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. May Yehovah make a space to shine upon you and be gracious unto thee. May Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. May be seated for announcements. First announcement to the people online that would like to donate. You could make your donations out to D.C.B. That's 460 East 54th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11203. D.C.B. 460 East 54th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11203. You could also donate on PayPal. PayPal is info@baitdcb.org. That is the email, or you could go to our website, www.baitdcb.org. On the lower left-hand side of the home page, you press donate, and you could donate through that. So that's for everyone online. And also to the people that are listening on the stream, don't step out of the stream. Just hit the $sign button on the bottom and help to continue the stream going. We need your donations to continue the stream going, to keep, you know, new equipment going and things of that nature. So, Bavakusha, all of those who are online, we will leave the chat running a little bit longer so that you will be able to donate. Even the people on Facebook, you could donate also through Messenger. There's a way to donate directly through Messenger. So we hope and pray that everybody online will help us out in our endeavors and the things that we do. We need everyone. Just as the people here donate and give of what they have, we expect that the people online also will do what they're supposed to do. So any announcements? Next week, right, Rebecca?
Oh, yes. Next week, we're going to take the kids to Six Flags.
How many kids we got so far? That's going.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. But that makes it better. Y'all don't got to make as much lunch. Y'all making lunch?
No.
Oh, come on, man. Y'all should at least fry some chicken or something. That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids. That means all y'all need is about 2 cars. 2-3 cars. That's it. That means I don't got to drive. My kids ain't on that?
No.
Wow. You want to go to Great Adventures? Next week? No? You don't care? You go? You don't care? Mauser, you want to go to Six Flags next week? Can you add my kids, please? They're part of the congregation.
I replied, I said, let me know by Thursday. You never replied.
All right, just put them in there. Oh, I didn't know that you were like asking me that. I thought that was understood. Gaver Kasquia, we got your check. Thank you for your donation. Hey, Mausya, give Chief Okwana that check on the table, that envelope. So everybody online, Bavakasha. Yeah, put the books in there first, Amos. Okay. Donations and obligations cease. Oh, remember, in a couple of weeks will be Yom Teruah. I believe it comes in on a Thursday, right? Wednesday night to a Thursday night. That's Yom Teruah, the 21st. So we getting prepared for, yes, Ima. Yeah, $1 a day, $31 for August, Bavakasha. For those of you who are putting in, 2 people donated. Who were they? Told Sister Edna, and who else? And Brother Kashum Levy. We thank you for your donations.
We're gonna be here Wednesday night.
Do you want to do Wednesday night and you want to do
whatever night?
Thursday? We probably gonna just do Thursday. No, but you know what? We might want to be here. We might want to be here Wednesday night, don't we? For Yom Teruah.
Yom Kippur. Not Yom Kippur.
No, Yom Teruah is the first. Then Yom Kippur.
Yeah, but I'm saying we didn't do a night session.
We'll talk about it when we get off the mic.
I had to let them know.
Yeah, you got to let them know tonight. All right. So everybody else online, what's going on? Donations and obligations. Mausi, mute.